everyone, welcome back. I was running towards the local pub, or tavern, inn, whatever, and then this just automatically happened. You asked me for one and I said no, not until you're older and more responsible. Do you remember this conversation? Gordy's eyes are fixed on the ground in front of him. Yes, sir. And yet I find you out here playing with a blade that clearly belongs to the knights. Do you see the problem? I didn't steal it, honest. I traded a secret for it. He points at you. Ask him. Hey now. Is what my son says true? Yes, it is. He's just a boy. Do you understand me? What were you thinking getting him a blade like that? You stay away from him from now on. Come along, Gordy. I want to have you loitering out here all day. Okay. There we go. So that conversation just happened. But yeah, I was coming over here to rest. And I kind of want to go back to our castle, stronghold.
Gods keep you.
Actually, I'm going back to my stronghold anyway. There's no reason to rest here. Let's just leave. Oh, right. I remember seeing those. But yeah, I want to see what the Warden's Lodge does. The bounties. We have so many side quests to do. Alright, Warden's Lodge. That's the inn. None of us are fatigued, that's good. Oh wait, and we also need to check here. Because there was the successful quest. It said check your treasury. That was a couple episodes ago now. Hey, you're the special guy. Nice. Anything you to say?
I trust all is well. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
Nope. That's it. We got a potion and then 20 golden scullings.
Well met, friend.
Oh, whoops.
Good day, stranger.
I want to sell things to you. Not that. Not that. Not that either. I'm sure we got some things, though. No. Sure. I'll keep a poleaxe. A battle axe. Not the pistol. Okay. It'd be kind of cool if your other people were just waiting around here. I think they're supposed to be, right? It said that you can either find them at your stronghold or at the inn in the Gilded Vale. Ah! There's Alpha of the Blades. Awesome. Aloth may be back at Gilded Vale. Not sure where the ranger would be. And our druid. I kind of forgot we even had a druid. The druid was cool, but I think I like the cipher more. Although the druid had a lot more varied spells. That's the inn. Guess we'll go here to rest. Kind of finding out that you have to walk up in here to actually rest. There's not just like a button. Maybe there is a button. Hello, Alof. Oh, no, nothing. Just saying hello. You awake to see Durance, his staff held in both of his hands before him. A flame flickers at its top end, casting long shadows across his face as he stares in contemplation. Still, for all the light of the fire, your eyes can't focus on him. Perhaps it is awakening from sleep, or a trick of the light, but he seems indistinct, blurred around the edges. Everything except for the staff. The staff. He seems to be studying its engravings. As you watch, the engravings glow thinly red, like through the cracks of heat-suffused wood. The lines stream like molten metal, burning along the edges of his staff, then branch out in an intricate series of fiery veins, bunching thickly where his hands clutch the wood, pulsing as if a heartbeat. As you watch, the veins spiral into a dozen separate circles that spiral again until they are arranged in a circle of their own. They pulse, wait, and all is strangely silent, and then, suddenly, there is a great light from the fire, a rushing of air, a great flash, and you awaken again to see Durance in the same place, still holding his staff, but he is solid, real. He doesn't seem to have noticed you, or reacted to what occurred. What?
What?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What? And what must you say now? I need you to leave.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
I saw something strange. You were sitting by the fire, and I saw a great light from your staff.
Tell me what you saw.
It was a flash like an explosion, a rushing of air, incredibly bright.
It is the light of the Godhammer you saw.
The Godhammer.
It was a weapon of Deerwood's people, a symbol of their independence. It saved the Deerwood.
What do you know about it?
It brought the Saints' War to an end, knocked a god from his perch. There are few that would deny Eothas overstepped. The Godhammer reminded Eothas of it. You saw its light because I helped shape it, give it life, and release it into the world. Once seen, its glory is almost too bright to be believed, and too bright to be forgotten.
You helped build the Godhammer?
There were 12 of us. We fashioned the weapon, drafted plans for it, prayed for guidance at Ashfall, and it came to me there. Each of us were given a staff made from the forest of black trees around us, glowing with embers and fire far greater than this branch you see now. It felt as if the staff was Margaren's own finger, guiding my hand, guiding the other 11, the shadows of the 12 who had come to stand on the bridge to stop Eothas.
Wow. So you were there. Shadows of the 12.
Even in that stand, there was a ritual to it. For the 12 that stood on the bridge, there were a dozen shadows cast, a dozen faithful of Margaren, her fiercest supporters and shapers of the Godhammer.
Durance rests the staff in front of him, and the flame atop it curls for a moment, the light flaring slightly. It splits into a ring of flames, one after the other, until a dozen is met.
As 12 held Eothas fast, we 12 unleashed our prayers and let the Godhammer fall.
Then it blossoms brightly once and resumes its candle intensity. In the aftermath, the shadows seem sharper in the vicinity, as if they have edges, and you blink to clear your vision. Durance is still staring at the tiny candle-like flame intently.
Shadows cast by the fire of the Godhammer, perhaps. And we shared their fate as well in time. Now the spine of the Deerwood is marked by the Godhammer, marked by Margaren.
What do you mean share their fates?
Not all deaths come with stilled breath and stilled heart, or other stilled passions beneath the waste. Some deaths come from silence. The connection we once shared with Margaren, after the light of the Godhammer, it was not the same. It was as if we'd lost our senses, and sense of purpose as well. Instead of victory being welcomed, there was silence, within and without. Not many can claim to have killed a god. It is less a heroic tale than you would think. And such a death, it changed our faith. All faiths, I expect. Doubt followed, and the world changed. I do not believe Magrin was pleased by what we had done.
Why is that?
The world is broken, the wheel stilled. There is sickness in the world's heart, perhaps the price of crossing a god. Crossing two gods. Even as Magrin shaped our hands, perhaps we carried her will farther than was allowed. Just as Widewind did. Saint Widewind. Mortal arrogance to match mortal arrogance. Yet if the world had changed, then I sought to change with it. If I had forgotten some of Magrin's teachings, I would find them again. I would make her see me again.
What did you do?
I remembered Magrin's teachings. How reminders on the flesh were more important than the death of a vessel. And I wondered if killing Aethys, if that had simply set him free. Had it allowed him to escape his punishment and be taken on the wheel? Like a mortal? As I stepped from the now blessed Godhammer Bridge, I thought of Ashfall. I thought of the war of black trees, wondered if I needed to be burned to find myself again. That is Magrin at her heart. At least that is my hope. These are the doubts that befall me.
What happened when you returned to Ashfall?
The road to Ashfall is long, gives one time to think. And if you think long enough, you do not go home. I left without telling anyone, with only the robes I wore at Halgot, my staff, and my name, which is long buried. Of my fellow 11 craftsmen, disciples, I know not what happened to them, if they suffered the same doubt as I did. But it was underserved. It was wrong. We had done all that Or had asked. Grab victory from defeat and...
Referred to her as a whore. You feel as if your god had betrayed you.
There is something about being used and cast aside. Perhaps Widewen himself felt it. There at the end, when the hammer struck. To be the proof that your god is hollow as the vessel it inhabits. I tried to find purpose, and avoided all contact with other Magranic priests, did not seek the walls of Ashfall, and sought to make amends to my god through actions. I joined with the Purges for a time, and not long after came the first signs of the Hollowborn. So many crimes, trespasses, violations. The Salvation. Animancers were another sickness born of the Saints' War. A relapse of innovation, of desperation to heal what we had caused. All seemed worse than before the bridge, not better. And as years passed, the world became even worse still for the victory.
Perhaps the purges weren't what Mogren wanted either. Sweat collects in the sooty creases of his forehead and runs down his ruddy cheeks. It drips from the tip of his nose. His mouth moves, but his utterances make no sound. He is for once at a loss. Feeling your gaze, he quickly composes himself, wiping his forehead with the back of a dirty hand.
Worship the whims of some fickle bitch, and you'll never be more than dirt beneath her feet. Worship what she worships, on the other hand, Take her fire for your own, and her esteem comes on its own. Of course, by that time you no longer need it. Trial and transformation, sure as Durance taught.
Durance glares at you, and staring into his eyes gives you the feeling of peering over the edge of a great cliff.
You think to put the coals to my feet, but what's burned once will never burn again. These talks are your trial, Watcher. You cannot deflect the truth to one who has already been purified by it.
Okay. We chose the bridge because we could control it. Durance's hands tightened at the top of the staff as if holding it by the neck. It was a place where we could choke Eothas in his own footsteps, where we knew his feet would fall, a narrow neck of stone. But it was more than that. It was a spine of the deerwood, symbolic of its backbone. Such symbols are important in the construction of a weapon. Durance studies his staff, his eyes traveling along the etchings. Any weapon. Durance's face hardens and his eyes burn, his eyebrows narrowing. I suspect Eothas knew that as well, and so did his vessel and its arrogance. His hand tightens on the staff. He intended to walk upon the bridge as if walking on the backs of the deerwood, and we intended to burn him with the light of our faith and his. 12 on the bridge, 12 in the shadow, and gave ourselves to it.
We put much of ourselves into the Godhammer. Such a device is not simply a machine. There are elements of the spirit in it. Even Widewind's spirit.
Why?
We all studied Widewind. He was our enemy, and he had provided the flesh the god wore as a cloak. That flesh made him vulnerable. I knew what fields his hands had tilled, his family, what he had harvested, where he had been born. We sought to know him, what had led him to fight us.
And why was that important?
You don't kill the god. You kill the man it inhabits. And you leave that man a ruin. Burn him to ash. The weapon was meant to not only burn his flesh, but it would burn his soul. And it did. At the cost of our own. And at the cost of our goddess's favor. That whore be damned.
Is that why your image was blurred in the dream? Durance frowns, glances at you with a sharp look. Perhaps your eyes were blinded by the God's Hammer's light, Watcher. I may feel half a man at times, but even that is twice that of most others.
If you fear for my spirit, your fears are baseless. The Godhammer, seeing its light, only fueled my anger and made me stronger, made me re-examine the teachings of Margaret, put them in a new light.
It looked as if there was only part of you, as if your spirit had been sheared in half.
I do not need you to cast any more questions on me, Watcher. Nor did I ask you to look upon me without my leave. Get gone, and leave me be.
It's like, shut up, Watcher! Hey. I don't want to talk about it. Alright, so now we have the survival bonus. Cool. Huh. Durance faith. You must restore it.
You must gather.
You must gather your party. Yes. I know. Which one of these buildings have been... That may be it. That building looks intact, whereas none of these do. So how long does this... I'm hoping this at least lasts for a day. Okay. Warden Feargan.
Well met, friend.
This grizzled old man takes a puff from his pipe and nods at you. Was wondering when you'd be dropping by. Kith around here have been hit with more than their share of trouble of late. I'm up to my ear in bounty offers. Figure at least one of these might interest someone with your skills. Now, I ought to warn you, there's a reason these bounties are still on offer. These are tough bastards, every one of them. If you're not up to it now, feel free to come back around when you're better prepared. In the meantime, here's a good batch to start us off. There's the standing bounty on Sly Seardale's head, of course. Then there's the forest lurker haunting the trade routes, and this ogre shaman. Should fetch a good price. And up last is one, War Chief Iklak. Tell me about Sly Seardale. This bounty comes all the way from New Haelmar. Sly Seardale, I don't know. Maybe that's how you pronounce it. And some of his accomplices have escaped the prison there and killed 2 Justicars on the way out. The guards are itching after revenge. A man matching his description was seen near Mogren's Fork. He's well armed, and he'll have his friends with him too. Sure. What about the forest lurker? Let's see. Word is this big forest lurker's taken up residence in the Black Meadow, just off the main road. The merchants have been calling it the Dweller, and they want it gone before it starts chewing up their caravans. That's one that keeps making the rounds. Nalrin the Wise. He's some kind of ogre shaman. They say he's raided a half-dozen farms all over the Deerwood. Word is he's holed up somewhere in Elmshore, though nobody who went looking has been seen since. War Chief Iklak, he's a Zarup, if the name didn't tip you off. He moves around a lot, but he's known to haunt the Valewood from time to time. Folks want him dealt with before he takes up with a dragon. So we just got all these side quests? Bounty, is that like a whole... There we go. Here we go. Alright. Let's do this next time. Yeah. See how much these bounties are worth. I'm very curious to know. So thanks for watching, everybody. That's going to do it for this episode. I guess we learned a lot about Durance, kind of. I mean, he was there. He was a part of destroying Aothas. It's kind of a big deal. So I'll see you all next time.